culture war's stupid. I want to just start off by saying that corporatism is evil, and I don't know if I'm a terrible libertarian or what, but everything's just dumb. This is the New England Take. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead, thenewenglandtake.com. Politics, policy, and life in New England. All right, so the Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney thing was just blew up. It was just the most crazy viral right-wing thing, but it has had success. I mean, it's one of the best boycotts the right's done, probably. They lost something like 18% of revenue over a Budweiser because of this, because they annoyed so many people on the right by having Dylan Mulvaney be a spokesperson. The CEO tried writing it off, saying no, he wasn't a spokesperson. It was just this individual campaign. Meanwhile, they made cans with his face on it. So there's a little more involved than just doing a quick little social media post. Dylan Mulvaney, the biggest shill when it comes to anything in modern America, whether it's the Democratic Party or tampons, or figure that one out. But it definitely paid off, and it got to the point where it's from National Review, Bud Light now offering free beer to wholesalers amid plummeting sales. The little skit that I did at the beginning with my Bud Light can was $1.50 for a pint of Bud Light, those big bottles they sell over at convenience stores. It's crazy how effective it actually ended up being, but I think the biggest something that's really glossed over by all of this, the real issue when it comes to all of this, is corporatism. Something I've spoken about repeatedly. Corporatism is the problem. When corporations are these all-consuming institutions that feel like they have direct voice in our society is bad. I don't think that's correct. On the other side of it, the boys over at Black Rifle Coffee, entertaining as they may be, magically get quiet when a lot of things happen with other members of the military that you'd think they'd be supportive of, but they're not. I think companies should just stay out of politics. I think that's the way it should be. I think we should just focus on if companies are able to produce the best product that's best for their audience that they're trying to sell to, that's perfect. That's all we want. We don't want Amazon and Microsoft and the Oracle and such plastering rainbow flags, just like we don't want them plastering NRA sponsorships. It works on both sides. I think corporations should stay out of this. There was a bunch of nonsense with regards to Major League Baseball in Georgia, I want to say it is, a couple of years ago, where they were saying they were going to pull out from doing anything down there because of some gay rights bills or something like that was going on down there. Stay out of it. And now Disney is the biggest culprit of corporate woke politics, just creeping more and more into our daily lives with some of the nonsense they push with their shows, which their producers have outright said that they are pushing LGBTQ content on their shows specifically to drive an agenda. It is not just organic storytelling thing to show different voices. It is specifically, like, you look at what happened with The Proud Family, where they had all sorts of white fragility nonsense on the show. Like, this isn't where it belongs. So we should not be looking to Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi for what's the best messaging for children's television. That is not their thing. I don't think children should have to worry about race or gender. Yes, there is normalization of gender roles and such, and sexuality, and the fact that most couples are going to be heterosexual, generally speaking, across the population. It's a statistical reality. But Disney should stay out of it. Like, I really don't care about what they're dealing with their real estate issues against the state of Florida, because if a corporation wants to have a certain level of freedom and independence with over a certain amount of land that maybe they have control over, guess what? You on the other side of it, you got to stay out of politics. If they decide to stay out of politics, they would not be butting heads with Ron DeSantis when it comes to this. They went in as a corporation speaking out against the supposed Don't Say Gay bill, which is not the name of the bill, which specifically only restricted K through 3, I believe, saying you can't have identity politics, and after that you need to just keep it age appropriate, which I thought would be the like the default. That would be where it should originally be across the board. The fact that DeSantis felt, and Republicans in Florida felt the need to create these restrictions is because of evidence that's popping up all over the place, from libs of TikTok to was it Gay Patriot? I can't remember. There's another Twitter account where it's a homosexual individual that is conservative and posts all sorts of things like that. The work of Chris Rufo, it's like there's all sorts of weird things going on with culture, and this is the reason why I said in last week's episode talking about not Parkland, I can't remember. This is Colorado school that went hard to the right, to the other extreme, which I don't think necessarily is perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but a bit of a diversity in what the public schools are offering is definitely a good thing. It's there's such thing as too much. Like, if there's like the whole book banning nonsense, like why is this being brought up by corporations? This is none of their business. They should stay out of it. Let the politicians and the activists and the voters make their decisions on this. I think Citizens United should be struck down, not just because of funding, because I think they have too much power in the voices of what's going on in politics nowadays, because they have all the money. These multi-billion-dollar, multinational corporations have the power in our society. There's a reason why the mainstream media is so powerful, even though their viewership is just plummeting day after day. It's because they support each other, so that you have YouTube pushing CNN and MSNBC and such before they push Breaking Points, before they push the Daily Wire, before they push some of these other more independent left-wing outlets. Vox, gets away with a lunch and with a ton. Huffington Post gets away with a lot. It's because they agree with the same narrative that you're seeing from these corporations. I really don't care whether Jeff Bezos and Amazon likes or dislikes gay marriage. It has nothing to do with them. I don't care what their opinions are on K through 12 education. It should not be part of the decision. It should be a matter of what politicians, school boards, and parents put into it. Look, I understand also, this is kind of a tangent, like high schoolers, obviously they feel like they should have a bit of a say in what's going on with their education. I guess to a certain extent they should maybe have some say, so they feel empowered and part of the decision-making process for where they spend most of their time, waking hours. But it really should be coming down to the adults. Children do not know what's best. Adults know what's best. Whether you agree with those adults or not, they have the right to make that decision. I disagree severely when it comes to a lot of parents that are totally going down the gender ideology nonsense and are full bore in it. But guess what? If they want to send their kids to a private school, it's all about that. Fine, that's their thing. But public schools should be at the mercy of a balance between the two and working actively to make sure they're not crossing over the line. I've seen tons and tons of reporting from left-wing outlets like teachers are scared, teachers are afraid because they don't know if they can say this or that. Yeah, to some extent, maybe there are instances, especially right after the Divisive Concepts Law was passed here in New Hampshire, where, there should have been some better handling of what should be happening for messaging to teachers so they know where the line is necessarily. But overall, that should be the standard. That should be an across-the-board thing. They should be concerned that what they're going to be teaching, if it's going beyond just general history, math, reading, writing, things like that, if it's going beyond just those basic academics, they should really consider whether it's an appropriate thing. They should be honestly considering if it's a good idea to have activism teaching going on, which has definitely happened across the many schools in our country, which I think is really a problem and should not be the focus. Civics should be a teaching of how the government works and how to fix it through political means, not necessarily how to be an activist, how to necessarily run I guess maybe run for office could be part of it, but you shouldn't be having school time be, hey, we're going to be teaching kids to be activists and only on this one side of the aisle. I don't think that's okay either. All right. Maybe don't go buy Bud Light, I guess is what I should say as a conservative closing out this segment. I don't know. Do you. Boycott if you want to boycott. Don't if you don't. Live your own ethics, and hopefully it'll help improve our country. It's the New England Take, thenewenglandtake.com. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead.